Hi guys, welcome to the Ben and Polly channel. Today I'm going to be talking about series 5 of New Who and counting down the stories. So we've got 11 this time, including the two-parters which are seen as one story by me. So here we go, number 11 right at the bottom is Victory of the Daleks. Now this is a Mark Gatiss script and unfortunately it's one of his worst ones. Although there are enjoyable elements, you know, the Churchill scenes and his relationship with the Doctor is a lot of fun. There's some good comedy moments. There's some great stuff with Amy because this is so early on in her travels and her first journey into the past, and her stuff with Bracewell at the end is sort of very good. But the whole, you know, the Daleks being Teletubbies thing and the plot itself isn't really up to much. The Daleks, they're okay when they're normal and they're serving tea and stuff. It's quite novelty. It's kind of been done before, but those little elements of the story I do like. But yeah, overall it's not a very strong one, unfortunately. It does show Matt Smith's Doctor his angry side, which we've only seen a little bit of before in The Beast Below, so yeah, that's interesting, and his companionship with Amy. But yeah, this is quite a strong series, to be honest, so to be the weak one isn't that bad, but this is one that is quite forgettable and isn't really loved that much by me and lots of other people. So move on to number 10, which is Vampires of Venice. Now this is a fun little run around, just a rompy thing. If you just want to switch off and think, oh yeah, I'll watch Vampires of Venice, but it's not one you go to and think, oh yeah, it's my fave, from my point of view anyway. But historicals are always a good time, apart from the one I just mentioned, but one set in the more far past, not sort of modern history. But yeah, this one, it's got some great little characters, and the whole thing with Rory's stag do is always fun. The Doctor jumping out of the cake, the interactions between the Doctor, Rory and Amy are very fun, and the baddies are interesting. The whole vampire thing, you know, it's very gimmicky, very token-esque, kind of just like the Daleks really in the previous story I mentioned. But you know, it's not bad, it's a fun time, and that's why it has to be at the bottom. But it's a decent script from Toby Whithouse. It's just very it's got very fast resolution. I can never remember how it ends because it's kind of a good time and then it's all suddenly, but I do like that the creature has to feed on the woman at the end, and the conversation the Doctor has with her when he says, you know, we can't get together, think of the children, is what he says. You're a big fish person, I'm a Time Lord. I think that's hilarious. So yeah, Toby Whithouse, or Whitehouse, however you say, is a great writer, but it just doesn't knock out the park, unfortunately. So the next one we have is The Lodger, which is another one which is a good time, but it's just not that amazing. But the character of Craig I really enjoy, and Sophie as well. Monkeys. The comedy stuff between them. The plot's obviously not up to much, but it's kind of a bit of a filler story and an excuse to have Amy out of the way. But I do enjoy the Doctor playing football and going, is that the one with the sticks? And you know, there's so much good comedy in this episode. So if you take it what it is, yeah, I do enjoy The Lodger, which is why it's slightly further up. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure, that one. One of my dad's favourites. And next we have The Beast Below, which is a script that Stephen Moffat isn't very fond of and kind of regrets, I think, because he sees a few plot holes in it. There are a couple of things that don't make sense, but to be honest, Stephen, really, this one? There's so many more episodes where things don't make sense, but I think it's a good introduction for Amy. They do hammer the point home at the end though, when they say about the similarities between the Doctor and the Star Whales. Like, Amy, we get it. You don't have to keep saying, oh, someone very old and very kind and lost. Oh, it's like, we get it. They keep going over it a few times. The audience get it. You don't have to. Maybe that's one of the things that Moffat didn't like about it, but the story itself, and you know, the fact that the creature was just being kind and that whole thing, and the mystery. Liz 10 is a really great character, and the Smilers are quite creepy, and I like the Forget with the buttons, and the fact that they go into the belly of the beast, as it were. You know, it's another fun one, and I don't really understand why people forget about it, because it is quite a distinctive episode, and it is a good one for Amy's first adventure. So next we have A Christmas Carol, which is a very good adaptation really of the novel, and it has a really interesting spin on it. I think it's not my favourite Christmas special. I know some people it is their fave. I think it's good in a way that Amy and Rory weren't in it. They didn't really get a Christmas special that they're in, you know, focused on, I believe, which is interesting. But yeah, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy Kazarak as a character, and Abigail. I do think that's, you know, that's interesting, the whole thing about her being ill and him being literally the Scrooge character, and it's full of lots of little magical moments which I do enjoy. It's just not one that I think, oh, what's what I want to watch, one that's really great. Oh, I'll watch A Christmas Carol. For some reason, as an entity, it doesn't stick out as a really good episode, but it does have some really nice moments, and the cinematography is really nice as well, and the whole thing with the fishes and the magic shark and the sledge and everything. Yeah, it's a really enjoyable one. I do like that one. This is a very strong series, as I've said, so it is kind of difficult, especially with these ones that are kind of in middle range. And we have The Hungry Earth Cold Blood. This is number 6. This is number 6, so yeah, maybe I'm placing this a bit higher than some people would. When I did my rewatch recently, I did find that it does hold up as a story, and it is very interesting. Kind of on rewatch, you kind of you know what's going to happen, obviously, with the Silurians, and that it's all going to go wrong. So the fact that it works, and then you watch it again and go, no, it's all going to go to crap. But the tension is still there, and you're worried, and you're thinking, oh, it was going so well. And the supporting characters are decent in this, and I really like the little boy who's a fan of Sherlock Holmes. The pacing is really well done. There's some really good comic moments. It's actually quite a strong Chris Chibnall script, in my opinion, especially for a two-parter, considering that if you compare that to his more recent scripts, the two-parters seems to be, the first part is all loads and loads of build-up, and then everything's happened all at once. But there are some great little scenes between the Doctor and Rory. The character stuff is spot on in this episode. Obviously the end stuff with Rory being erased from time and stuff, but the Silurians, there's some great characters in there. The scientist guy, and the Alea, obviously, and yeah, it's all it has a very classic Who feel. It feels like this is kind of a remake or a sequel to Doctor Who and the Silurians, which is still obviously the best Doctor Who Silurian episode, because then they mixed in the Sea Devils, which are like their cousins or whatever, and then they tried to go back, and then it didn't quite work. But I think, because I think people would say, oh, people think this episode's rubbish and that's why they haven't brought them back, but I don't think that's true. I think just there's only so much you can do with the Silurians. The fact that they live under Earth and then they've got to come up, it's literally very similar plot to Doctor Who and the Silurians, where the Sea Devils, you know, they come from the sea and you can do a bit more, but even they haven't brought them back. So, you know, it's limited ideas, I think, compared to the Daleks. But I think they are used very well in this, as I say, with the tension and, you know, wanting to form that treaty. And Nazreen is a really fun character, and you can imagine her as the Doctor's companion, and I really like her and Tony and their relationship, and that she stays with him at the end after he's been infected and stuff. And yeah, I don't know, I just find the characters really likable. I think they were written very well in the story, and the Doctor has tons to do, and he's exploring the underground city with Nazreen, and Amy's captured, and the bit where she gets sucked underground is really good. And I don't know, it feels very classic, and there's just loads of stuff going on. I don't know why people don't like this story, to be honest, which is why I've gone on a bit of a rant about it. But yeah, I actually think it's quite strong, but give it another rewatch, see if you agree with me. Right, next we have number 5, which is Amy's Choice, which is another one I was sort of umming and ahhing whether to put this above the Silurian two-parter, because, you know, to be honest, it's all very different stories, so it just depends on what you like. I'm a big fan of anything to do with dreams, anything to do with alternative realities, because I find it sort of very relatable. You can think about yourself in that situation, and, you know, different elements of your life changing, and so I'm a big fan of Last Christmas. But this story, it just drags for the fact that what's a drag, but I'm putting it down because of the whole Amy's choice in literally picking the Doctor above Rory, or Rory above the Doctor. That whole thing, it just gets on my whole nerves. The whole thing of Stephen Moffat being like, oh, she just fancied the Doctor, oh, but she really wants to be with Rory. It just does my head in. So the fact this is called Amy's Choice, yeah, that does my nut in. But the whole element of the Dream Lord, and the fact that the Doctor doesn't know which one's real, and, you know, the crazy old ladies and stuff, you know, it's a fun time, apart from, you know, Amy not really thinking about the fact that she could be killing her child. That's the other thing that brings us down, but nobody talks about that, so let's just move on. But yeah, it's an evil Doctor story. You know, you gotta love it. But yeah, let's move on. Right, next we have number 4, which is the Pandora Opens Big Bang, and this one I enjoyed the second part more. But the build-up is still very good, and it's all very intriguing, especially how River Song ties into it, and the TARDIS blowing up. And I like that we get to see Liz 10 again, and Winston and Vincent right at the beginning of the episode, of the first part. River Song being Cleopatra, just awesome. The whole thing with the Doctor literally doing the Big Bang again, it's all very confusing. It was confusing at the time, and it was the first proper instance really of Moffat going really timey-wimey and just explaining everything away with, oh, you know, I'll explain later, which is kind of a running joke of Doctor Who. But I do really like 11 in this. He's, you know, he's the strongest he is in series 5, and then it kind of slowly goes wrong, in my opinion. But here he is the fairy tale Doctor, and his relationship with Amelia is amazingly explored, especially, you know, in the second part with her going to the museum and everything. I really like that, and I like the whole Rory waiting for Amy, and, you know, the relationships between the characters in that regard. And it's Amy finally choosing Rory or not, but, you know, I do really enjoy that as a two-part, as a timey-wimey stuff. Next we have number 3, which is less timey-wimey, which is The Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone, which I'm a big fan of River Song. I wasn't when she first appeared, as you might know from my Series 4 review, but yeah, this one I'm a big fan of. I don't think they should have brought back the Angels after this one, because I think they handled them just about right. You know, it was different. The angels were actually killing people in this one. It was scary. You wanted to know why. The stuff with Amy having something in her eye, thinking her hand was made of stone. You know, this is terrifying stuff and really, really well written. And the River stuff just gets more and more intriguing. And her relationship with the Doctor, I love. And Amy is very interesting in this story. You know, asking questions about River's relationship with the Doctor. It's just a shame about the end when Amy comes on to the Doctor, but we just forget that happened and just say that the rest of the story is really good. And the whole thing with the Aplans and the angels and yeah, Angel Bob. Yeah, really great story. But just can't beat these top two, unfortunately. These are top tier stories I really love, especially these three. So number 2 we have The 11th Hour, which is still the best premiere episode for a Doctor, at least in the new series. I'm not sure about including the old as well, but it would definitely be up there. Just because they do so much. You know, the story isn't great, but it doesn't need to. And I'd say, you know, it's similar to The Woman Who Fell to Earth in that respect, which I also really like. The main plot isn't up to much, but it introduces new Doctor, new companions, new tone to the show, everything going on, everything's kind of magical, whereas with the Jodie Whittaker stuff, it's more real and gritty. So you know, with Doctor Who, it just depends on what you like and what you get used to. But yeah, the Doctor's relationship with Amy right off the bat, just magical, just amazing writing. You know, this episode, can't really say much about it. It just, yeah. Jeff and his laptop and the porn. Shall we talk about that? That's just iconic. The little old lady and her knowing who the Raggedy Doctor is. Everyone going, Raggedy Doctor, Raggedy Doctor. Rory just being a kind of, he's the same level as kind of Mickey in this story. We're just going, oh, it's the idiot boyfriend. But if you watch this now, he evolves so much. And so did Mickey, but they kind of, it's in different regards because they turn into completely different characters. They start off quite similar, but then, yeah, go off and do crazy stuff. But yeah, whole Prisoner Zero thing, you know, it is quite creepy and I do enjoy that. So it does obviously start off all the Silence Will Fall and this whole arc, which just turned into a mess. But as it is in the episode, I do really enjoy. But number 1, it has to be, you've already guessed it, Vincent and the Doctor. What can I say? Well, this episode is amazing for tackling mental health issues in a way that Series 12 did recently, Can You Hear Me? But this one just knocks it right out of the park. This one, you know, it's a case study, an analysis, a personal journey into the mind of Vincent van Gogh and what it was like to live in that time and be completely unappreciated for his talent, and nobody could convince him that he was worth anything, not even the Doctor, not even going into the future and seeing his paintings and being told by Bill Nighy that he was one of the greatest painters that had ever lived. Even after that, which he probably thought was all in his head anyway and made him even worse if this was real. You know, it's just mind-blowing. He just, you know, he can't believe it. So I think that's absolutely wonderful and absolutely magical, and just it's heartbreaking when Amy realizes that she hasn't changed the future. The Doctor in this is very subtle. You know, he almost says the wrong thing a couple of times to Vincent. He almost mucks up because he doesn't realise how in deep Vincent is with his depression. And yeah, it's a situation where, yeah, the Doctor has to back off a bit. a bit like in Rosa, where she just has to sit on the bus and just deal with it. But there is hope in this episode, absolutely, and that Amy's relationship with Vincent is just pure, and the way that they talk about, he says, oh, you've lost someone recently, and yeah, the beauty of scenes like that, written by Richard Curtis, of obviously you know, 4 Weddings and a Funeral and Love Actually and all that, which is why you got the soppy music in the background in the museum scene. But yeah, absolutely beautiful writing, and I'd love if he would return and write another episode, but I don't think it's going to happen. But the monster in this episode is, you know, really, really good and really interesting, and some people would say that they bring down the episode, but I don't think they do, because, you know, it's a side plot in a way, but obviously it connects with that discussion about humanity and seeing things that aren't there, literally, you know, mental illness being something that's invisible, just like the creature was. You know, if you think about it like that, it's a very deep topic for Doctor Who, and it was just, we were lucky that it was brilliantly done. And yes, I'm very grateful this episode for representing mental health and the Doctor and Amy's characterization and the way that the story was played out. So yeah, that's it. Series 5, very, very strong. For the most part, you know, even the weaker episodes, you know, they're all right. I'll watch them. There aren't any completely unwatchable episodes in this, unlike there will be later on, which probably some people will disagree with, but there you go, this is my list. So let me know in the comments what you think, and rank your episodes if you want to. Please subscribe if you like, and check out my other videos and my other rankings. Have a good day, guys. Bye.